Hi traders, hope you're doing well. Welcome to my video on the CCI Expert Advisor, which I have developed for the MT4 and MT5 trading platforms. It is completely free to use. Please help yourself to a copy using the link in the description below. In this video, I'm going to run through the EA and the various settings that it has and ways in which you can implement it within your trading strategy. So here you can see the MT4 trading platform. As I said, the EA is also available for MT5. However, for the purpose of this video, we're going to use the MT4 platform. So I have the strategy tester window open here. I've got the CCI Divergence EA selected there. You can see on my chart, the CCI indicator. This is a 1 hour euro dollar chart. You can use this EA on any trading instruments, so Forex, stocks, commodities, cryptos, indices, etc., and any chart time frame. I just prefer the 1 hour charts above simply because they contain more price data, and therefore I find signals tend to be much more reliable. And that doesn't just apply to this EA, but all the various other trading strategies, and specifically price action analysis as well. So in this instance, let me just show you the core entry criteria used by the EA. So the CCI divergence. So what we can do is we look for divergence here is when the CCI is making these higher lows, but the market is making these lower highs. Okay, you can see here there's this downtrend. Price formed a nice support level here. We have this wedge formation. Okay, we've got bullish candlestick patterns forming here, 3 inside up, for example. Okay, we've also got our bullish hammer here. So there were signs that the market was going to turn around. There's a bit of a bear trap. Traders who were selling late into this downward trend, selling at the low, something you don't want to do. We're going to get caught in this bear trap, and when their stop losses are taken out, it can cause momentum to the upside. And I do have videos on various strategies you might want to check out as well. So here you can see this range we had between support and resistance, and then the breakout here, which coincided nicely with the break of that downwards trend line. Okay, obviously the market making these higher lows here, another wedge formation. We've also got a W pattern there. Okay, so breakout to the upside. And how does the EA tie into all of this? Well, you can see the divergence there on the CCI to the upside. Coincided nicely with this breakout trade here. So this would have been a good, perhaps, breakout of this resistance level to take there. You could have had your stop loss just below the low here around 25 pips, which is reasonable for the 1 hour chart timeframes, and profit potential of over 100 pips on this trade alone, which the EA could have helped you pinpoint. Okay, so as you can see there, I did actually use some manual market analysis with support, resistance, trend lines, and candlestick patterns, which is basic stuff you should know. Of course, always have good trading discipline, sensible money management. Okay, have a plan and stick to it, control emotions, so on and so forth. So back to the strategy tester window here. This is where you can backtest the EA over historical data. Okay, keep in mind that the MT4 strategy tester is limited to 90% modeling quality by default. You can get third-party software to implement with it, which will improve the modeling quality up to 99%. This will then allow you to test an MT4 with tick data, real spreads, commissions, slippage, so on and so forth. Just keep in mind, no matter how good the quality of the data and test environment you're using is, you're still back tested and it's based on historical performance. Of course, no guarantee what will happen moving forward. And the MT5 platform, on the other hand, does have tick data built in. You can account for things like commission, slippage, real variable spreads by default. But again, it's still historical data you're testing over. We'll get a bit more into that later. So the symbol, you just choose the symbol you want to back test with there. We've got the euro dollar selected. Time frame, you can choose any time frame there. Just choosing the 1 hour. If you're a scalper, you can choose something smaller, or if you're swing trading, day trading, you might want to choose something higher, or the 1 hour charts. Dates, so we can select here. Let's just go for the previous year for the dates there. We're not going to test the vision mode because we're going to run optimization. Now if I go to the expert properties, so this is the nitty-gritty of the EA and the various settings which you can customize depending on your trading preferences. Of course, everyone's different in that respect, so just configure it depending on what works for you. Okay. So this is expert name. You can change to something there. This is what will be displayed to your broker in your account history. Pop-up alert. If you have pop-up alert set to true, this will give you a pop-up on your platform and a notification to say, for example, buy signal on the euro dollar 1 hour chart, sell signal on the pound dollar 1 hour chart, so on and so forth. This is handy because you can track multiple charts at the same time without needing to scour through the charts manually yourself. You know, you can do what we did here. We were, you know, we marked, okay, we're in a downtrend. We're going to wait for a reversal. So we can set pop-up alerts to true for long divergence signals. And then we know when we get the alert, okay, let's have a look at the chart and see if we can time the entry on a breakout. Okay. As an example, there are limitless ways in which you can trade the EA in a semi-automated manner. So that's pop-up alerts. Email alerts is the same. However, just send you an email, which is handy if you're not around your computer. Perhaps you're out and about, lazing around, and you just want to have a nice email alert. So you know, okay, now I'll fire up my platform and take a look at what's happening in the markets, and if I want to take a position or get ready to do so, or perhaps sit on your hands and wait for the next one. SMS alerts, the same. Just send you the alert via SMS. You will need to configure SMS in the MT4 or MT5 platform with many tutorials online which can help you to do that. Assuming you don't know how to already. Use trading. If you set use trading to true, the EA can actually place the trade on your behalf and manage it according to the settings that you choose. Okay, you can combine use trading with the alert, so you can have, say, use trading set to true and email alert set to true. So if a trade's placed, you receive an email, just keeps you aware, and then you can check the position as soon as you get a chance and perhaps adjust the stop loss, take profit. Maybe you want to close the position, or you know, just make sure that it is correct. So trade short, trade long, self-explanatory. Perhaps your broker doesn't allow hedging, or you just want to trade in one direction. You obviously have that under the testing tab as well. You can choose position there. This is just handy for testing purposes, mainly. Days filter, self-explanatory. This is the days of week that you'd like to trade. Hours filter, again, self-explanatory. Perhaps you want to trade the New York session, the London session, or the London and NY overlap. Maybe the Tokyo or Sydney. You can just adjust the hours there accordingly. Magic number. So this is the order ID that is sent along with each trade. Set to 1 for a buy trade by default and 2 to a sell trade by default. This is handy if you want to run multiple EAs on the same account and you don't want them to clash. Maximum spread and maximum slippage. So if your broker spread or slippage is greater than these values in pips, then the EA will not place a trade, which is handy to avoid unfavorable trading conditions, especially if you're scalping and a few pips can make a big difference. Open orders limit. So this is the maximum number of open buy and or sell trades the EA can have at any time. This is handy to avoid duplicate trades. Lots, so you can set the lot size that you wish to trade with there, keeping in mind that the EA will only use the lot size if you have user risk here set to false. If you have a user risk set to true, then the EA will calculate the lot size depending on the risk percent that you put in here. Okay. Stop loss and take profit, self-explanatory. One thing I will say is not too keen on fixed levels myself. Granted, if you're not around and you just want a hard stop loss placed in there and a take profit, you can. However, I'd be inclined myself, obviously everyone's different, if you wouldn't even have a take profit, and maybe I'd have a hard stop loss. But as you can see in this example, going back to it, we took this breakout trade here. If we had a 50 pip stop loss, let me just do that. If we had a 50 pip stop loss on this breakout trade, that's down here somewhere, and you can see that, you know, we could easily have a stop loss half of that, 25 pips, just below the recent swing low. Okay, so that's why I do think human intervention when it comes to money management is key. You can have the best trader strategy in the world without good money management. You know, it's going to be hard, in my opinion, to be successful. For example, with a 50 pip stop loss, you need a 150 pip take profit target or 3 to 1 risk to reward ratio, that's not even considering broker fees. Whereas if you had the stop loss half of that, okay, which you could have easily had in this instance, you only need a 75 pip target, which is around here, to have a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. If your target was 150 pips, you still, it wouldn't have been reached yet. Okay, so that just emphasizes the importance of good money management. Okay, close on opposite signal. If you set that to true, the EA will close a buy trade if there's a sell signal, or vice versa. Use break even. So this is handy if you want to move the stop loss to break even point once this break even point is reached here in pips. So if you have it set to 50, when the price reaches 50 pips in your favor, the stop loss will be moved to break even. Use trail if you set this to true. Okay, the EA will move the stop loss the distance that you put in trailing gap each time it's reached. Okay, again, something that I would prefer to do manually, just because then we can use the recent swing highs or swing lows. In this instance, that breakout trade there, once we saw price come up here, we could easily move price to below the swing low here. As it continued up here, we can move it there. Up here, we may be down here somewhere. Okay, whereas compared to using fixed levels, you could just end up with random locations, which may either be too close to price or too far away. So I understand if you're not around your computer or you just want a hands-off approach, you can use the automated trailing stop and break even, but I do think human intervention is better. Okay, so close percent. Each time the break-even point or the trailing gap point is reached, you can close a percentage of the trade if you wish, perhaps 25%, until you only have this much remaining in the minimum lot close. So if there's only 0.2 lots remaining in your position, the EA will stop closing and allow the remainder to run. Okay, so this is the nitty-gritty of the EA. When I say that, I mean the strategy that's implemented. This is the video for the CCI Divergence EA. It's worth pointing out that I've actually coded the MACD, RSI, and stochastic divergence options in there as well for you, so you do have a complete divergence tool. Let's go through each of the settings now. So divergence look back is the bars to look back for divergence. Okay, generally speaking, the further back you go, probably the more reliable it could be. It's not always the case, but you can adjust again if you're scalping, swing trading, day trading, depending on your chart time frame, so on and so forth. Entry type, so you can trade reversal or breakouts of divergence. Again, you probably want to analyze the market, what's going on, and decide which direction you want to trade in. Okay, CCI, so you can set to true or false either of the indicators for divergence, and you can choose the periods you want to use for the CCI and the RSI, as well as the stochastic, and you've got the various MACD periods and settings as well you can adjust there. So everything is fully customizable. Default settings are programmed by default. Okay, so that's the EA basically. I give you an example of a trade of how you can use it there. Go to the optimization tab. Well, first of all, I'll run through an optimization. So basically an optimization in the MT4 strategy tester is when you combine various settings to see what results they may have performed historically speaking. As I said at the beginning of the video, it's not 100% accurate, but it can give you a rough idea of how a particular EA works. So if we set use trade into true and we go down and we just choose what we want to optimize with trade one standard lot. Stop loss, we're going to optimize from 25 pips and stop at 50 pips. Take profit, we'll start at 0, we'll go 100 and we'll go to 300. So basically, this means we start optimizing that value at 0. We step in 100 pip increments and we stop at 300. Okay, so step 100, stop 300. So this will optimize because we've selected it there. A take profit of 0, 100, 200, and 300. The stop loss we've selected will optimize 25 and 50. Because we're starting at 25, we're going up in 25 increments, stopping at 50. We can choose close and opposite signal. This will optimize that as true or false. Break even the same, true or false, and the break even point will do 25, 25, 50. Trailing stop true or false, and the trailing gap will do 25, 25, 50. Close percent, 0, 25% up to 75%. After the minimum lot, we'll do 0.25 to 1.25. Okay, keep in mind, the more of these you select to optimize, each one you select basically is included in the combinations. The more you select, the longer it can take, which will depend on the power of your computer, the time frame that you're testing over, and the dates. You know, the longer the historical data, the longer it's going to take. So we can bars back, so we'll optimize 10 bars back up to 200 bars back. Why not? Keeping in mind it's a very rough optimization, not putting too much thought into this, but you can optimize until the cows come home. So just be aware there are limitations, which I'll get to shortly. Over optimization and curve fitting specifically. So we can optimize the entry type, either reversal or breakout. CCI what we'll do is, because this is the CCI video, we'll leave that to true and we'll leave the other indicators to false. Okay, we won't optimize those, we'll just focus on the CCI. And for the CCI period, let's start at 7, and we'll go up to 55, okay, in 7 increments. Okay, so now we've got all that selected. We can go to the optimization tab, and if there's anything you want to filter results by, perhaps maximal drawdown, you want to set that to 20. You'll only get results with a maximal drawdown of 20. I leave these all unchecked simply because I want to see results good and bad, just so I know what works, what doesn't. Under the testing tab, you can choose a deposit you want to test with, the currency, trade direction, as I discussed, which is also in the EA here. Optimize parameter, always optimize for balance, but you can optimize for profit factor or drawdown or anything else if you prefer. This genetic algorithm, okay, if you have this unchecked, the strategy tester will do every single combination possible, which can take a long time depending on how many settings you're optimizing, and again, your historical data and time frame. I leave it checked. I just think the strategy tester does a good job of throwing away results that the combinations of settings that these will not produce good results. We'll click OK once we're ready. We'll click the optimization tab. We've got the euro dollar for the past year selected. In mode, open price is only selected. The EA does take positions based on entry and exit signals, based on open prices for entry and exit signals. Just bear in mind that when it comes to fine tuning, you want to switch over to every tick, because this includes intrabar prices, which is important when it comes to things such as stop loss, take profit, trailing stop, break even, etc. Okay, but it's a lot longer using every tick mode, so we can use open prices just to whittle down results to begin with and then fine tune them with every tick. The spread here, so we can use the current market spread. Just bear in mind, if you are testing on the weekend, spreads can be higher than usual, so you might want to enter something more realistic in there, and then click start when you're ready. Okay, the results start to come through, and if you switch to this optimization tab here, you'll see the results using the different combinations of settings that we chose to optimize. You can see that's pretty quick, and you can sort by profit, number of trades, profit factor, drawdown, or expected payoff. Okay, well, let's sort by profit, why not? We'll scroll up to the top. Okay, so we've got some decent results coming in. If you double click one of the results, that will load it into the input settings, which you can always save to use at a later date. If you want to save it, euro, dollar, 1 hour optimization, you can load at a later date. Okay, now with optimization unchecked, let's just run that individual test. Okay, you can see not a bad graph at all for the previous year using this EA. However, what we've just done then is what's known as over optimization. We've just done a combination of loads of settings to see which produce good results without putting too much thought into them. Granted, you will stumble across good settings this way. However, a lot of the time it can just be curve fitting. You'll find that if you combine enough settings, regardless of your data set, the trading instrument, the time frame, the historical data, you're going to find good settings. And some developers may package this up and sell it as the best thing since sliced bread, based on an over-optimized backtest. When I think manual, intervention will always outperform this. And again, it's based on historical data, so no guarantee what will happen moving forward. And just to emphasize my fact about over optimization, if we go back 2 years, we'll run the exact same settings and you'll see what happens. The graph's not so good. Okay, we probably know where optimization starts, and that's where the graph goes up here, is it? Let's have a look. Yeah, that's exactly where we started the optimization, and that's when the graph went up. You can see before that it wasn't so great because we weren't optimizing for that data. We just curve fitted for what came here. Okay, well, some may argue, well, why don't you just optimize for more data? Well, we can do that. We can go back 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Can optimize till the cows come home. Just is we're going to still have the same problem of curve fitting. Okay, as I said, you'll always bound to find good settings eventually, but you've just thrown together as many settings as possible. As I said, there are some times where you will stumble across things that are logical. So if you actually take the time to review each of the settings and see, okay, well, yeah, it had a tight stop loss, you know, it didn't use a take profit, but it closed on an opposite signal, so there's some logic there. Okay, you know, okay, you used the default CCI period of, you know, 14, and you know, then that may seem like a legitimate strategy. You know, it looked back 100 bars, so the divergence was strong. But if you were made some effort to just set it to only trade long if you were looking to enter a long trade in an uptrend or a reversal, and you can definitely improve things with a bit of effort rather than just looking for some sort of magical solution. Let me just search for the last 3 years and go by profit. So, okay, quite a few good results coming through here. You can see reasonable drawdown. Okay, if you just double click any of them, again, you can run and you get your graph. So we've over optimized for the last 3 years there. It's not a terrible graph. But what happens if we add another? Let's add another 1, 2, 3. Run those same settings again and see what happens. That's what happens. Where did we start optimization? When the graph goes up, I bet. Well, yeah, not far off, almost the trade, we can pick it up, and that's when it starts going up because we curve fit for that data. So just be wary of that when you're testing. I'd use this more of a tool, like a handy tool, as I said earlier in the video, to just help you, you know, keep track of, perhaps, you know, you're looking to jump in on a trend or catch a reversal. This example here is a good one. Oh, we've lost our bearings. If we go back and find it, let's have a look. Okay, here. So we had, for example, if you were here, you may have been saying, okay, we've had this move to the upside. Okay, actually got a nice trend line there, and then we have a break of the trend line. So that support trend line then becomes resistance, and you can see almost bang on the button there, which coincides nicely with strong resistance. Okay, you've got a wedge formation breakout there. Okay, you've got your line of resistance in here as well. So the sign's on. If we were in this scenario, we'd say, okay, we're going to look to sell. In fact, we would put a bit more effort into the support. You can see there, a strong line of resistance becomes support. Okay, you've got a nice inverted hammer. Sorry, a hammer pattern there. Indecision in the market, bearish candlesticks, you've got 3 inside down, inside bars, lots of bullish, bearish signals here. So we could have had our divergence EA saying that, okay, the market's going up, give us alerts for sell trades based on divergence, and you can see there you would have had an alert for the divergence depending on your bars of back setting, and then, you know, okay, I'm gonna, you know, primed and ready, I've got my email alert, let me fire up the euro dollar 1 hour chart, and I'm going to try and time this entry into this new format, this reversal into this downwards trend, and then you've got your support line. You could have traded off a break of that. If you're more risky, you could have traded, you could have even, you know, mocked off this level here, gone down to the 5-minute, 15-minute chart and timed your entry on a breakout that way. Okay, you've got your lower highs as well, various signals, wedge formation in there as well. Again, bearish candlestick patterns, 3 inside down again. You could have taken the trade there, you could have taken it here. Okay, but as you can see, that would have been a tidy trade there. If you would have taken this breakout as well, stop loss there, okay, it's 50 pips, which is decent, but over 300 pips profit potential, and as price fell, we could have moved our stop loss manually above the highs, swing highs there, okay, just to lock in the trade. And once we've seen the market start to form these levels of support here, we could have closed the position out. Okay, so that's one way in which you could try it. And again, you can use the EA to help you close positions. Say you're in a sell trade and you want to get a divergence, a bullish divergence alert, you would have got one there because you can see that bullish divergence. And then you would have fired up your chart and seen, wow, okay, yeah, good job, I had that alert, because now is the time to get out of this sell trade that I took with the alert, the sell alert up here. Okay, so as I said, can be useful for semi-automated trading. You can also use it fully automated if you wish, just bear in mind the things that we've covered in this video. Have yourself to a copy using the link in the description below. Thank you for watching and catch you on the next one.